What if the ultimate golf trip wasn't just about playing more golf, but actually getting better while you were there? I just got back from spending 5 days playing one of the most spectacular, beautiful, remote golf courses in the entire world, a place very few people I know have actually played. And not only that, while I was doing it, I got over 7 hours of private golf instruction and access to a world-class team of experts in fitness, mindset, nutrition, and more. And I did all of this in one of the most beautiful and luxurious resorts I have ever been to. If you've been thinking about your next golf trip, maybe with your significant other, keep watching, because if you want a golf trip that you are going to remember for the rest of your life, today's video is for you. Okay, so I realize I'm in my office right now. I'm not in this amazing, luxurious golf destination that I just teed up, but of course, as I sat down to record this whole video while I was there, it started pouring down rain. And here comes the rain, and I've got no good place to go hide from it at the moment. I think we're gonna need to find a new spot to do this, which is a bummer because it's so beautiful out here. But never fear, I've got a lot to show you about this special place. So what am I talking about? I am talking about Sensei Lanai. If you've never heard of Sensei before, it is Larry Ellison's wellness brand. So to give you the quick backstory, there's two guys, Larry Ellison and Dr. David Agus. They had a mutual friend that passed away, so they started thinking, what could we do to help others live longer and healthier lives? Well, the answer came in the form of the wellness resort Sensei. So there are now 3 Sensei properties around the world, and the original Sensei opened in 2019 on the island of Lanai in Hawaii. So as you might know, Larry Ellison purchased right around 98% of the entire island in 2012. He then spent years renovating an existing lodge that was on the island to turn it into Sensei. So that opened up in 2019 and is in partnership with the Four Seasons. So there are 2 main resorts on the islands, Four Seasons Lanai, which is down at the beach, and Sensei Lanai, which is a 10-minute drive from the airport up in the highlands at 1,800 feet elevation. So 2 years ago, I got introduced to the Sensei brand when my wife and I spent a couple days at Sensei Porcupine Creek. That is the second of the Sensei properties, and I don't say this lightly, but it was one of the most spectacular, memorable trips of my life. Everything about this experience felt so personal and private. When we played golf, we had the entire golf course to ourselves all day. The sculptures and the art collection that are on this property are as good as any museum in the world. The food, well, the only restaurant on property is done by Nobu, and you have to be a guest there in order to dine there. So everything is extremely high-end, personalized, and geared towards wellness and relaxation. And so on that trip, we got just a little taste of what the Sensei experience was all about. But as I recently turned 41 just a few weeks ago, I've been in the mindset of like, okay, I need to make some changes in my life if I want to spend the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years living the quality of life I have now. I need to make some changes to my diet, my routines, my fitness. And so I was starting to think of like, what would the ultimate kind of reset be? And that's when I thought about Sensei. So I had always wanted to go visit the original Sensei at Lanai, and it just so happens that they have what is just kind of the perfect program for me and what I was looking for. It's called the Golf Optimal Wellbeing Program. And so you go and you stay there for 5 days. It includes 7 hours of personalized golf instruction. It includes 2 different spa treatments, one of which is wild, and I'm going to tell you about that in a second. It includes one-on-one sessions with experts based on your goals. So I met with a fitness expert, a mindset expert, a nutritionist, all with the goal of kind of hitting the reset button and dialing in my life. So in this video, we're going to kind of break it into 3 sections. The first, we're going to talk about the golf course. Manele Golf Course is one of the most spectacular courses in the world. Second, we are going to talk about my experience with the Golf Optimal Wellbeing Program, exactly what this included, what I got out of it personally, and if it's worth doing for you. And finally, we're going to talk about the Sensei Resort as a whole. What are you getting? What are the rooms like? What's the food like? What makes it so special? I realize this video is a little bit different than some of the ones we've done in the past, but honestly, this trip was so special for me, and it was exactly what I was looking for and what I was looking to get out of it. So I wanted to share it in case you might be looking for something similar. Just to get this out of the way right up front, as you might imagine, this is not an inexpensive experience. The rooms at Sensei Lanai start out right around $1,000 a night, but once you start getting into the packages and everything that is included with those packages, yeah, it's still expensive, but you're getting a lot for your money. And so as you'll see throughout this video, It's pretty cool. So I've known about Manele for basically as long as I have run Breaking 80. And this is one of those places I have always wanted to go, but I just never expected that I would be able to. Like, when would I go to Lanai, the most remote Hawaiian island where there's only 3,000 people that live there permanently? And I gotta say, when I showed up to the course for the first time, it exceeded all expectations. The views from basically every hole are so good. So this course was built in 1991 by Jack Nicklaus. It stretches out to just a little over 7,000 yards from the tips, and it really strikes the perfect resort course balance. And what I mean by that is that the course can be as challenging or as friendly as you would like it to be. So the front nine, you start out by kind of stair-stepping up the island, up the hill, to the point where if you look up at the 5th tee box, you're like, I can't believe there's golf all the way up there. But there is. And then after that, you work your way back down to the clubhouse. One of the things that I think is really cool about this course is the fact that the way it was designed is there aren't many dramatically uphill shots, but there are a lot of really, really fun downhill shots. You see this on both the front nine and the back nine. And so the front nine is great, especially the stretch of 4, 5, and 6. With 4, you've got a par 4 with a big bunker right in the center, and you have to decide, do I go left, do I go right, do I go over it? And then you have a very well-protected green that's easy to get distracted by because you've got insane views of the ocean and Maui in the background. You then get to 5, which has one of the most dramatic downhill approach shots I've ever seen, followed by 6, which has a green that's like almost out in this like peninsula that sticks out into the middle of the jungle. It is so cool. But for as good as the front nine is, that is not what makes this course so memorable. The back nine at Manele is top 10 best 9 holes of golf I have ever played. It is so good. It's so scenic. You're hitting so many fun shots. Number 10 is a relatively straightforward par 4, but you have this beautiful green hanging over the ocean. You then get to the tee on the par 5 11th, and it's just disorienting. You're not entirely sure where to go, but if you hit the right spot, you're gonna have a chance to get to the green in 2 because it is so dramatically downhill, and it feels like it's just hanging over the ocean. And then you get to number 12. Number 12 is one of the most beautiful, dramatic, iconic par 3s in the world. So just got to the par 3 12th hole here at Manele, at the iconic, famous, one of the most beautiful par 3s in the world. And you get to the tee box and you can't really see what's going on. So we're gonna play this from the tips. We're gonna see if we can make par, but just watch this. This is the walk. This is what you see. So you see the ocean peeking back there. And I haven't done this walk yet, so I don't really know what I'm in for. You get to the tee, and then this is the view. Are you kidding me? That was one of the most solid 4 irons I've ever hit, and little left, kind of over a ridge. I think we're gonna be okay, but we're gonna have to go find out. Let's go see. Oh, I gotta hit it. I gotta hit it. All right, we'll take the bogey. Bogey or not, it's one of the coolest par 3s I've ever played. 13 is a short par 4 that hugs the cliff top, and the green also feels like it is hanging over the ocean. And at this point, you're just like, wow, I can't believe where I am and what I'm playing. But something I do want to say, I mentioned that this is the ultimate resort course. It could be as hard or as easy as you want. So one of the things that was particularly fun for me is on our last day, my wife and I played 9 holes, and she had never actually kept proper score for 9 holes of golf. And so she doesn't play all that often, she's not the best, but she's eager and she wants to learn more. So I gave her 2 strokes a hole, playing the back 9. And by the time we walked off the 13th hole, I was down 4 holes and I was only 2 over par. So I was playing pretty well, but also for her, who doesn't play much golf, it was still playable for her as well. And so the fact that you have that playability, you have that fun, and you have the insane views, it just made for a very, very memorable experience. As you continue through the round, you get to 17, which might be the most dramatic hole on the course. A big dogleg right par 4 that hangs along the entire cliff top. It feels like a better, more strategic version of the 17th hole at Cabot Cliffs for me. It requires a much more exacting tee shot and then a very nervy approach shot going straight down to the hill to another green that's also hanging over the ocean. Manele lived up to and exceeded all of my expectations, and to be able to spend 4 days out at this golf course was a truly special experience. And so that's part of what makes the Golf Wellbeing Program through Sensei so special. So now that we've talked about the course a little bit, let's talk about what this well-being experience was actually like. Okay, so the Golf Optimal Wellbeing experience through Sensei actually starts a month ahead of your trip. So the first thing they're going to do is they're going to mail you a Whoop band. So with this experience, you get a full 12 months of Whoop membership. And so you start wearing it in the weeks before you go so that by the time you show up on property, you have all of your biomarkers, you have all of your data. They can look and they can see what your resting heart rate is, what your heart rate variability is, how you're sleeping. They can get all of this information about the current status of your health and wellness so that they can then apply it to everything you're going to be doing throughout your trip. 2 weeks before, I had an intake call with Eduardo, who is one of their guides. He is awesome. He helped me with a lot of the fitness stuff that was on property, but really he was just asking me a whole bunch of questions around my lifestyle, health, fitness, what I'm looking to get out of it. He gave me the space to kind of figure out what I wanted to get out of it and ask questions that can help me figure that out for myself. Because yeah, I was like, I know I want to get healthier. I know I want to build some better habits, but I'm not entirely sure tangibly exactly what I'm looking for. And that call really helped crystallize a lot of the things that I was looking to do so that we can make the most of our time once we got on the island. Now, getting to Lanai is not the easiest thing to do because there aren't that many flights, but we flew direct from Portland to Honolulu when we were then picked up by a brand new Cadillac Escalade, which then shuttled us over to the Lanai Air hangar, where we took a short, like 20-minute semi-private flight directly into Lanai. This experience was so nice compared to just about any other flight I've been on because security is pretty much non-existent and you get your bags right away and they're waiting for you. Everything was so dialed in from a service standpoint, and that was something that we experienced throughout our entire stay, as you would imagine, being a Four Seasons resort. So for me, there were a few different parts of this whole experience. So there was the golf aspect of it. So for this, I spent 4 different days at the course. The first day was playing 9 holes with Samantha Luigi. She's the first assistant there. She was the golf professional that helped me throughout my entire trip and was wonderful. So that first day, we played 9 holes together just so she could get a sense of where I'm at, what I was looking to improve, where my game was at, what changes we could make. And it took her all of about 5 minutes to realize that there was a lot we could do. So the second day was then a full-on practice session. So we spent time at the range, we spent time on the putting green, and we even went out and played a couple more holes just so we could put some of those things into practice. The third day, we then had a 9-hole playing lesson where we took everything that we had talked about over the previous few days and we practiced it on the golf course to make sure that it was actually cemented and actually working properly. And then for most people on the final day, you'll go out and you'll play a full 18 holes. For me, we decided to just play 9 because I wanted to bring my wife along, so we played the back 9, and that was definitely the right decision because we had a blast. So throughout my few days of instruction, there were a few things that I took away from it that were some of the most like aha moments I've ever had on a golf course. So the first thing we did, and this was the first thing she recognized, some longtime viewers will remember when I went down with me and my golf, I took a couple lessons and they wanted to completely change my grip. And so what's happened over the last year and a half since I did that, because my golf swing was kind of in shambles before that. And so what's happened is I made some grip changes, but I didn't go quite as far as I probably should have. I didn't get it quite perfect, but it was a lot better than where it was. And within like 5 minutes, she could look at my grip and be like, oh, you need to weaken it a little bit more, you need to put your elbow here, you need to do this. It exactly mimicked the advice that I gotten in the one previous golf lesson I had taken in my entire life. The good news is that because I already changed my grip some from that previous lesson, I was already halfway there. So when she helped correct it even further, it didn't feel nearly as weird as it did the first time, to the point where that's kind of the grip I have been switching with. And almost overnight, it's added 10 yards to almost all of my clubs, as well as reduced the dispersion. So I still have a lot of practice to do. I really need to like ingrain this. But so far, getting that feedback in my grip is definitely a huge takeaway. The second big takeaway that I had, which honestly might be even bigger, is I don't know how to hit out of a bunker. 15-minute lesson with Samantha. She said some things that I just hadn't necessarily heard, and I thought about it in kind of a different way. All of a sudden, I'm getting out of bunkers confidently. That is something I have never been able to consistently, confidently be able to do, and I just did like 10 of them in a row. If nothing else, if I get nothing else out of this entire trip to do that, worth it. It has been such a game-changing thing for my golf game that I'm excited to get back and practice it. But the golf and that instruction is only half the experience. The rest of it all happens back at Sensei. So one of the things that's so cool about this is that nothing is done in a vacuum. All of the different experts and instructors, they all have the same notes from everybody else, so they can see what my goals are, they can see what I'm working on, they can see what I've worked on with other people, and they also have all the biomarkers from the Whoop band that they give you. Full caveat, because I have so much data in Garmin, I did ask if they could use my Garmin data rather than Whoop, and that was not an issue at all. They were all super well versed in that. So if you're someone who already does have a lot of data in one ecosystem, they can definitely work with you there. So let's talk about a few of the highlights from my one-on-one sessions. One of the things that I was most excited for was the performance testing. This is where you go in like a real athlete and you do a barrage of performance testing. We're talking grip strength, vertical jump, and the thing I was most looking forward to, but also not because it was kind of miserable, was the VO2 max test. So full mask on a treadmill, sprinting, the whole thing. And the results from all of these tests were a little bit of a mixed bag. Turns out I can jump pretty high, but my grip strength kind of sucks. My VO2 max is good, but I'm not burning nearly enough fat as I should be at lower exertion levels. So with all of this data, along with the biomarker data, we're able to get a full fitness plan for how to actually get my body processing and doing things in the way that it should, as opposed to burning way more sugar instead of burning fat like we want it to. Now I've been able to take all that information and that testing and work it into my exercise routines and my workout routines once I got back home, which is something I've always said I wanted to do. It's something I've always wanted to do, but I just had never gone through the trouble of trying to get some of those tests done. Another big surprise for me was the mindset sessions. So I worked with their expert Jim, who is a fascinating guy and works with some of the most interesting people in the world on mindset. And one of the most interesting things we did is he said, okay, I'm gonna talk to you, I'm gonna give you a whole bunch of information, and in real time, we're gonna track your heart rate variability. We're gonna see how your body is responding to all this information. And it was all over the place, no rhyme or reason. And then he said, okay, I'm going to give you a breathing exercise. And then I want you to relax, focus on the breathing, focus on that exercise, and we're gonna do the test again. And so during that test, all of a sudden, everything directly in line. Like, it was wild to see how much of a difference just a little breathing exercise could make. And now that simple routine of basically doing a 4-count breath in and 6-count breath out and repeating that's helped me fall asleep faster. It's helped me reduce anxiety. It's even helped me calm down before a nervy tee shot on the golf course. That one takeaway has been pretty wild for me and just something I wasn't expecting to get so much value out of. Along with those, I had a deep relaxation session. I had a fitness one where we talked about things I could do before a workout or especially before playing golf to help loosen my body up. And then we had a whole session devoted to how do we take all of this information we've gathered and how do we get you back out in the real world and be able to apply it and continue moving forward in a positive way, as opposed to being like, well, that was a cool experience and you just kind of forget all about it. And so by the time I left, I had a full 8-page plan of everything I need to do for my health, for my nutrition, for my fitness, for my golf. It's like the ultimate kickstart to going back and applying these healthy things that I've learned to the rest of my life. And sure, there are all sorts of ways to get some of that information, most of which are a whole lot less expensive than flying to Hawaii and staying at a luxury resort. But if you can go stay at a fancy luxury resort and play an unbelievable golf course and get all of this data and improve your golf game as well, then that's kind of the best of all worlds. And finally, I know this has been a long video, but I want to talk a little bit about what makes the Sensei property so special. So first off, this has been voted one of the 10 best spa resorts in the United States. And doing what I do, I've traveled to quite a few nice resorts. I've been to quite a few nice spas. I have never been to anything like this. This is the best spa experience I've ever had. So there are 10 spa halles. So you walk in, everything is like lathered in this beautiful teak wood. You've got your own infrared sauna, you've got your own steam room, you've got an outdoor onsen and a reset pool that's 25 degrees cooler. You have a wooden Japanese soaking tub that recirculates the water to keep it at the same temperature throughout your entire treatment. And you've got the largest freaking outdoor shower you could ever imagine that is 3 feet by 3 feet. The thing is insane. And so after any treatment, you have the ability to sit and enjoy everything that these halles have to offer. So one of my massages was all about relaxation. I got a 90-minute massage and then spent another hour just basking in the gloriousness of this spa halle. But the more interesting one was the thermal body mapping experience. Now, I've never seen this anywhere else except for Porcupine Creek, where I also had this same massage treatment. But essentially what they do is they take thermographic photos of your entire body, and then they look for the hot spots to figure out exactly where you need work done. So for me, it was pretty obvious my lower back needed some work, and Jamie, my massage therapist, then went through and did all sorts of interesting exercises and techniques. They're basically meant to improve my flexibility, open up my body, get rid of some of those tight spots, and improve my ability to just move around and live. And despite the fact, like when I got back up, some of these were pretty odd movements that I had never really seen before. It felt like kind of going to a chiropractor, but a little bit different. But I got up, and I gotta say, I have not felt that good in a long time. And so that whole experience, while I wouldn't necessarily call it a massage, it definitely made my body feel a lot better afterwards. And so another feature of the resort that might be my favorite thing I've ever seen in a golf resort ever is the Onsen Garden. And here you walk into a dense jungle where there are creeks and waterfalls and bridges and trees everywhere and birds chirping. And throughout this dense jungle, there are 8 hidden hot tubs or onsens that you can then go and use. And I gotta say, this experience was so cool to like be walking through and stumble upon these little like oases where you can just sit and relax and enjoy being in nature. Like it was really special. And I was fairly jet lagged for a lot of the trip that I was there, so I was up pretty early most days. So every morning I would get up at 6 o'clock, I'd go fill up my water bottle that they give you. When you check in, every guest gets a nice personalized Yeti water bottle. And I would go take a walk through this garden and sit in the onsen, and it was amazing. Like it was so relaxing, it was so nice, and it is something that I wish every resort had because it was truly something that was unique.
Onsen Garden, probably top 5 coolest things I've ever seen at a golf resort. This is special.
The rooms, as you might expect from a Four Seasons, are very nice. I've long believed and still believe that Four Seasons has the best beds out of any hotel chain. Every room has its own private lanai. So we had a big balcony, went out into the jungle. It was very private. It was very nice. There's also multiple seating rooms in each room, a desk, as well as a beautiful bathroom with a Japanese toilet. And every time I go stay at a place with a Japanese toilet, it makes you wish you had one at home because it's just kind of one of those extra luxurious features that's pretty nice. The property in general is absolutely stunning. Just like Porcupine Creek, there is a world-class art and sculpture collection. As soon as you walk into the lobby, there's this big, beautiful statue of Aphrodite that was done by Jeffrey Koons. There's 2 Damien Hirst paintings that are up over the fireplaces. Everything feels very modern. It feels very open. It feels very luxurious, and it feels very homey at the same time. I will say the Sensei in Hawaii felt a little bit more like a resort as opposed to the one in Porcupine Creek, where you really felt like you were in like somebody's very extravagant residence, because that's how it started out. That's what it was. It was a personal home with like 18 bedrooms, which is kind of wild. But that's not to say that Sensei Lanai felt overwhelming in any way. It's a little bit bigger, yes, but it still felt very private. It still felt like a very intimate and boutique experience as opposed to just your standard resort where you've got families and kids and craziness. It was very calm, very grounding, and since there's no kids allowed, that part of it was extra relaxing. The pool area was beautiful, and you would actually never know it, but there's a hidden 25-meter lap lane along one of the sides of the pool. The way that it was built and designed into this pool just makes it look so natural. You would have no idea that there's a place to swim laps there, but there is. Also, another nice touch is the library, which has a pool table, a shuffleboard table, multiple games, tons of books, and a beautiful fireplace. So on one rainy afternoon, we went and just hung out and played pool and played games. It was just a very relaxing experience. It was a feature that I didn't know the resort had. As far as food goes, just like Porcupine Creek, the main restaurant is Sensei by Nobu. So while Nobu does all the food, it all has a little bit more of a wellness bent. They do have many of the signature Nobu dishes like the black cod, the yellowtail jalapeno, which were excellent, but they also have a number of others that were done just for Sensei that have a little bit more of a wellness vibe to them. The restaurant space is beautiful, and we ate dinner there 3 of our 4 nights, as well as most of our breakfast and lunch as well. Never got sick of anything on the menu. There are so many choices, and they also have a wonderful wine program with a really knowledgeable sommelier as well. For something more casual, you have the garden bar, which they also serve that menu out by the pool. And one of the things that I think is so unique about this property is that you also get access to a second resort. So because the only 2 resorts on Lanai are Four Seasons, guests can go back and forth from either one. So if you're a little apprehensive about going to a Hawaiian resort that's up in the mountains where you can't even see a beach, know that you can get a free shuttle ride down to the Four Seasons Lanai, and you can go use their beach. You can also go to any of the restaurants there, where they have a traditional Nobu, if you're looking for more like straightforward sushi, or the one we chose in Otsuria Mozza. So that's just like the LA Outpost where Nancy Silverton got her Michelin star, and this was one of the best Italian meals I have had in my life. It was so good. And while I will say it felt like a little bit of a departure from the wellness experience that we had throughout the rest of our time, I was definitely okay going and having some pasta and cheese because it was delicious. So highly recommend you do that if you go. Now, there are so many other things I could talk about this experience, about the resort amenities, about the golf course, about all the different classes and sessions, but 1, this video is long enough, but 2, it's also just an intensely personal experience. That's one of the things that I think is so cool about this. Even if you don't want the golf wellness experience, there are other wellness experiences. If you just want to go and have a place to relax and recharge, Sensei Lanai is a wonderful place to go and do that. It very much is a resort experience that you can customize and personalize depending on what you personally need. And like I said earlier, it's not cheap, but especially once you go in and you start looking at the packages, whether it's the Discover Sensei package or the 5th night free package, you start to look at some of these and do the math and you're like, oh, yeah, that's a lot of money, but it's also a really good value for what you get. And when you compare it to some of the other true luxury resorts around the world, the value is actually really good. Obviously not gonna be for everyone, obviously a very premium experience, but I can say without a doubt, it was hands down one of the most memorable golf trips I have ever had, and definitely the one where I'm taking the most home with me, both in terms of things to improve my golf game, improve my mental well-being, improve my fitness and health, as well as just having some really memorable times and moments with my wife where we don't get to take trips like this all that often now that we've got a 5-year-old at home. So if you were looking for a unique golf trip, if you're looking for a trip where you can go play some golf and your significant other can go have spa time or relaxation time or whatever they want, I truly cannot recommend Sensei Lanai enough. This is a place I guarantee I will be back to at some point because it was just such a memorable experience. And so with that, my name is Sean Ogle. I'm the founder of this thing here at Breaking 80, and I just recommend you go watch this video right here all about Sensei Porcupine Creek so you can get a sense of whether or not one property may be a better fit for you than the other. But spoiler alert, they're both amazing. With that, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.